Yep.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
I think we're live. I'm not sure. You look a bit. Okay. I think we're live. Welcome to our Q&A. Yeah. We're going to try something new for the rest of 2024, where we, on every other Tuesday, have the inquiry group in the Zoom call, where you get the link in the Discord. In the Discord community. And then every other Friday, we're going to have a sofa set where we take questions from you guys. And you can either ask, you can see this video because you are a member on the Awakening curriculum. Then you can participate and ask us questions right away. If you do not want to become a member, then you're watching this as a replay, and then you can ask us questions in our Discord, and then we can answer the questions here. Yeah. But let's just see if people can actually hear. Yes, Patty is here.
I see. Yeah.
Yes,
good. Fellow unfetterers.
Good.
And it looks like we have 14 people who are currently live.
Good.
So I think
it's really odd when there's no.
Hi, Grace.
Good. Okay, so people are here.
Glenda. Good.
Okay.
It works.
We have already gotten 5 questions. Yeah. That we're going to start out with more about. If there's anything about the curriculum that you would like to ask more about, then just write it in the comment section, and then we answer.
Yeah.
But the first one is actually from Kathleen. So if you read it.
Sure. So, hey, beautiful people.
Hello.
I don't know how to direct a question to Pernilla or Todd.
This is the way.
This did it. But I suspect from some reading thus far that many of you could answer this question. How do I get past or through Fetter 1? I keep asking, who am I? And while things are happening, I still don't know who I am. Also, I watched Pernilla on a short video just now basically discuss with a woman the fact that there is no higher power. So I have questions. I'm pretty sure I need to back up and start at Fetter 0.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So that's really 2 very large questions nestled into one.
Yeah. If we take the first one first.
Yeah.
The best you can do when you keep asking yourself, who am I? Is there a self? Where do I, is there an I here? So basically, Fetter 1. The best you can do is, but there's actually a lot of things you can do.
Yeah,
there's a lot of things you can do.
Massive topic.
Yeah.
Do you want me to launch into some stuff, or did you?
No, I was thinking that obviously go to the curriculum in the first Fetter. And if that is not helping in any way, you can go on to the other fetters, because in the lower 5 fetters, all of them are about identification, and it's the identification via the Buddhist aggregates, which is, we made a little pedagogical list here. There's the okay.
Yeah. So, well, the framing that we're actually using for them, I mean, it comes from that, but it's also the layout that Anil Seth talks about in Being You, which I had found when I was guiding through LU. I had found it to be such a useful tool, the way of recognizing the different ways in which we tend to feel selfie throughout the day, that I actually made a list of, like, because we use a lot of pointers in LU. And so I made like folders for each of the 5 with a bunch of pointers and exercises and stuff for each one, because generally speaking, anytime somebody would come in with some sort of feeling of self, it could be placed in one of those 5 categories. Yeah. So,
and the fetters are basically them just diving more into depth with them. Yeah. So I just want to run by the fetters first, and then we can take the Anil Seth ones afterwards. So the first fetter is identification with thought. It's every single time you think, and basically that is all the fetters, because the entire identification that we have in our lives, and all the suffering we have, all the drama, all the problems, everything you struggle with in your life is because of your thought. And when we identify with a thought, that means that we believe the thought. We believe the thought to be true, that I am irritated, which means that's true. I am bloody annoyed. I am angry right now. So we believe that to be true because it's a thought that keeps saying because they were and that did and all that. So the first fetter is identification with thought. The second fetter is identification with feeling and emotion because it's the same thing. The way we frame a feeling and emotion, it's a sensory experience you have in the body. Something feels really, really icky and a thought attached, and then you have feeling and emotion. The third fetter is all the identification that we do with our habits. I am a morning person. I wake up with a cup of coffee and I like to go for a run, and all the things we identify with the things that we do, all the rites and rituals we have in our life. And then there's the fourth and the fifth fetter, which is fourth is identification with all the things that we want. But it's very much tied into all the things we don't want. And that can be about anything. It can be about people, it can be about my body, it can be about anything. And very often you will experience that when you work with the fourth and the fifth, you come back to the second fetter over and over and over because they are an underlying feeling or emotion that you need to look at. So even when you feel stuck in the first fetter, it's completely okay to move on to any of the other of the lower fives because they will help you see through self. And then you found, and you said really good. So we wrote them down as well.
Yeah. So the five basic ways that we could look at selfing happening. We have the feeling of being me as a body. So the identification with the body, with the physical form, with the attributes of the body, the things that you like and don't like about it, feelings of pain and other sensations that are in the body, any of those associations with me as this biological life form is one of the big ways in which we find ourselves selfing.
Identified, yeah.
The second is the narrative self. So that is our idea. This is very much thought-based. It's our idea of all of the things about me, my name, my likes and dislikes, my birth date, my job, my past history, my trauma history, my family, and all of the things that I take to be about me that seems to be identifying this unique story, like this particular protagonist.
My personality.
Yeah, my personality. All of that is under the narrative self. Third, we have the perspectival self. So like coming from a specific perspective. So this is the feeling that we often have where it feels like we're somewhere behind our eyes and we're looking out through these windows at a world that's actually out there. And it's the view that everything that I hear, see, and feel, everything is coming into this little point somewhere in here that I can't quite find, but that seems to be at the center of this entire 360-degree bubble of a world. Then we have the volitional self. So it's the feeling of being a doer, being able to make decisions, the feeling of having free will, of being able to act and choose and direct our life in such a way that we want it to be, and then we can make that happen. The fact that I can reach out and pick up a glass of tea, all of that is that feeling of the volitional me. And then lastly, we have the social self. So that is how I believe other people are seeing me. So it's the way that, ironically, you can never know this, but we have the idea that I have some sort of view of they are looking back at me and they are seeing me in this way. They feel this about me. They like me. They're judging me. They're attracted to me. They're disgusted by me. Whatever is coming up in your mind, it's in your mind. But it's something that we do constantly throughout the day to kind of figure out where we fit into the social structure, where how I'm relating with other people. Did what I say just go over well or not? Do I have something in my teeth? Like all of that stuff is that social self. So,
but it's also why it can be so difficult to, for example, if you are addicted to anything and you come clean and then you go back to your normal friends, the way that they look at you, the way that they perceive you is holding you into a pattern because of how you think that they perceive you.
Yeah. You feel like there are expectations when you are around this person. You feel like you are expected to behave a certain way.
It's also being a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Being a people pleaser is also a really good example of that. That you think that you see what people need and you meet their needs before they have expressed their needs. But that is not their needs. That is what you think is their needs.
Yeah.
So, and that's the social.
Yeah. So those are the 5.
Yeah. And to get help with it, you can use the curriculum. You can be on Discord. That was where you wrote, so I know that you're in there. But for anybody else as well, you can log on to Discord. We have an amazing Hive Mind community in there with people that are so super supportive and helpful, and you can always reach out and ask them and kind of like be guided by other people's experiences. Or you can go to LU, Liberation Unleashed, that also guide through the first fetter.
And I would like to just go a little bit deeper into that first part of the question too. First of all, Kathleen, you had asked, you had said, I keep asking, who am I? And I want to say, we have hundreds, probably even thousands of different types of ways of doing inquiry. I will say personally, I'm not a big fan of asking who am I as an inquiry question. It's a starting point to question, is what I take myself to be real? But there is a problem inherent in that, and again, it does work for some people. So if you find that you're really drawn to it, then this isn't
it
to
doesn't
dissuade
work for
you.
us,
But
if your answer would be good.
So but for everybody else who's listening to this too, I'm not saying wholesale that this is just an unusable inquiry.
I'm a super supporter of who am I question.
Yeah.
And Todd he's not. So it's great. You have the who am I in the curriculum, and Todd he uses this one.
So here's why I'm saying that though, is because depending on how you're going about it, it can put you into a perspective where you start looking for something, because it implies that there is actually somebody there to find.
The who.
There's a who that you are going to find, and it's not the one. We go into it thinking, well, okay, so it's not the one that I think I am. I'm not that personality. That's not who it is. But then we hear all of these things about you are your true self, consciousness, awareness, the you who you were before your parents were born. All of those ideas are there. So then we start looking for something that is real. We assume that there is something here that we are going to find. And then you start to lock into things which feel maybe not undefinable, but sometimes undefinable, but like different from what you're used to experiencing in your daily life. So then it's just assumed, okay, that must be who I am. Mission accomplished. But what we're really looking for with these kind of inquiries is that shift that happens when you recognize deeply, not just on a conceptual level, that really there is nothing there. There is truly no stable self to be found. And that is jarring, hopefully, in a positive way, which changes the perspective. So what I suggest doing as just a daily routine, because selfing happens all the time. It happens when you are not on the meditation cushion, also happens when you are in the meditation cushion, but it happens in a way where you are so caught up in it that you don't even realize most of the time that you are identified in that way. So what I suggest is checking in with all of the 5 senses, because that is where anything could possibly be that is going to be experienced. If there is a self here, if it is a knowable thing, then it must be showing up in one of the 5 external or internal senses. So I suggest to be very aware of all of the sensory phenomena that's going on, and take one at a time. Go through the felt sense first and feel. If you say your name out loud or in your mind, if you say I am, if you say me, if you say I, and feel what seems to contract or light up or becomes seems like a beacon of this is where I am. It's like something reached out and said, oh, here I am. I'm here. Notice whatever that is, and then get really curious about it. So you feel the sensations as they are showing up, and then recognize that those sensations have no inherent meaning or self-value or selfness or any of that. And again, not conceptually, just look at them. Like, this is sensation. Feel if it feels like I'm located somewhere behind my eyes. Feel that. How is it known? It's not just a ghost that's in there. There is some physical sensation that you're latching onto. Feel that physical sensation and see, does that actually give you any more information than just this is physical sensation? See what happens with that insight. Move on to the next thing. Scan everywhere through the body that feels like this is me. Let all of those be seen through. Move on to the visual field. Now, you might feel like you are looking out of your eyes, but we actually dissect this even more in the sixth fetter. But noticing where it seems like you're looking from, you can kind of look back to see if you can find that point that seems to be the one looking out through the eyes. Can you find that? You can also go to the internal visual field. Notice, do you see images of your face, images of your body, images of your facial expressions trying to refer to the emotions that are going on? You can really break this down onto all of the visual experiences, both, again, external and what we take to be internal, and see how those are contributing to that feeling of being a self in this moment. Let them be seen through. Check the auditory field. Is it something with the sounds that you're hearing outside? Is it something with the internal narration that you hear that is your own voice, or sounds like what you take to be your own voice, just speaking on and on and on and on? How is this making it seem like this is you? Can you break that down? And then you can go through smell and taste as well. They're less probably involved with this, but you never know. And just see if there's any place else that steps up as being, this is me. And then let that be seen through. And you might have to do it over and over and over and over again. But each time you do it, you're reinforcing that whatever that vague sense of I-ness is cannot be found. And you just keep looking and you keep looking and you keep looking until it really drops that, oh, this was completely in my mind. Like, this was just completely an illusion. It was a mirage. It was just something that seemed to be there, and it's so clearly not.
Yeah, it's I really love that. Thank you. It's because there is no I anywhere. You can't find it anywhere. The idea of an I is just a thought. Yeah. It's just an idea. And when you do what Todd was just pointing at, and you do all the sequences and you go through everything, just keep noticing how much of this is in my direct experience, how much is what I feel, and how much is what I think I feel.
Yeah.
Because you can only have the sensation or the feeling or the notion of a self with a thought. The moment you do not think, it's not there. It's not there. And that's why we keep saying everything is just a mind fabrication. It's just fabricated in your mind. It's not real at all. It's just a thought. You are just a thought.
Yeah, exactly. And like, scanning back through her questions again, she said again, I keep asking who I am, and while things are happening, I still don't know who I am.
Which is good.
Right. I mean, that's the point, is that there is no you to land on.
Yeah.
There is no you to find. There's no true Kathleen. There's no true I, no true.
It's just a thought.
Universal. Exactly.
It's just a thought.
It's just a thought. And it's a thought that keeps coming up in different disguises, in different ways. And so you have a thought that comes up that says that, I'm identified as being a school teacher, and I'm identified as being a parent or a child or whatever else. And that, in that moment, that dynamic that shows up, you have this bunch of images in the mind or thoughts in the mind that come up as inner narration or some other way that it shows up for you. And in that, you suddenly feel identified based on that thought, that distinction that you have created, that there is something here and something there, and there's a relationship between them, and that can only be known by thought.
And it actually leads on to your second question when you say that you heard me in a talk say that there's no higher power.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why I'm a huge proponent. I really, is that pro when I like it? Yeah. A huge proponent of the who am I? Because the who am I question is in the first fetter, and it's paired with the eighth fetter, where the question is, am I? So you go through that who am I, and I am consciousness, and I am awareness, and I am universe, and all that. That's usually where we land when we ask the who am I question, like Todd said, that you find somewhere to land on. And then in the eighth fetter, we pull the plug on that one as well by asking, are you sure about that? So you completely see that there is nothing, that is just mental fabrications. You are just a thought. You only exist in your mind. The question that you ask, and this is one of the issues with having YouTube channels and having YouTube groups and having the whole curriculum available online, is that you hear things out of sequence. So when I say that there is no higher power, it's true, there isn't, but I cannot say that there isn't. I need to be in a space where I do not know. When we have an idea of a higher power or the universe or consciousness or God or anything like that, it is a thought. It is a belief. So what we are talking from is the space where there are no beliefs, there are no thoughts, that are just your direct experience right now. And right now, you cannot sense a universe or God or any higher power, anything like that, without adding a thought. You might have experiences that are where you just feel. I was looking at a butterfly the other day, sitting in the garden, and I was overwhelmed by such, I don't even know what the words are, gratitude and love and, unity with that little fella that was, basking his wings. But by me explaining this now, I'm minimizing the experience because I'm trying to make it into a thought thing. So you with your brain can think what you think I am saying, which was not at all what I experienced with that little butterfly. It was something completely different. So the moment we try to put words into it, we're making it into something. And that something out of nothing is where we lose the entire essence of it. So when I say that there is no higher power, it's because we're falling down, we're landing on that space where, first of all, we do not know. It's the middle way of knowing and not knowing. That's the first thing. The second thing is that there can't be a higher power if you do not add a thought. If you're just present in the awareness right now, in being right now, there's no one being. There's just this moment, this moment, this moment, and those are not even connected. Then there cannot, in your direct experience, there cannot be a higher power.
Yeah, that was really, I think that was really,
Okay.
I think the only thing I would say is that when we say things like that, it's generally used as like an antidote to the person has already come down on one side of the scale. And so we're balancing out the other side to neutralize that, because again,
to get into the middle way.
Yeah. Because if you come down on either side, you are lost in a thought and in a concept and a belief. Yeah. So that's why.
Yeah. And you will hear us say that a lot.
Yes.
Okay, so then we have a next one. I saw there was just a question here. Good evening from England. Hello. So nice. So good to be here. Thank you. So happy to see you here. And yes, it's working. Thank you. The questions that are, yes, you can ask your question here. All the questions you have, please write them here. People have written us beforehand, and those are the questions that we are reading off now. If you have questions, please write them down, and we're going to reply to those questions as well. And until there are questions in the comment section, we answer these questions. Nice. So you guys that are here right now, just ask all the questions that you have. And if you're watching this one on replay, then you can ask us the questions in the Discord group. Okay, next question. That's from Raven.
Hi, Raven. Truly living as having no time and nothing being true, then how and why did you and Todd come together, get married, and obviously love each other? How does no self have a relationship with no self? This feels important here because I can feel a nihilistic fear that continues to arise, believing that being awake to no one here, no time, no past, would be completely empty. Yet I see many awakened people having relationships, and it seems opposite of how my mind keeps hearing and processing what I hear and believe about non-duality. Perhaps part of this question comes from that whenever I'm alone, there seems a contentment, but I'm continuing to experience feeling there is a me and a you whenever I am with others. Thank you, dear Pernilla.
Thank you. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, it is a really good question.
Do you want to start up?
Boy, it's a big question. It's a big question. I mean,
do you want to think while I answer?
Well, I can start just by saying, oddly enough, we were actually just talking about this yesterday, that it is such an utter mystery to both of us how we ended up here together in this relationship. In
this life is like that's completely different life.
It is truly perplexing in a way that
I can't explain.
No, because I mean we've talked about this a bit before, but like I was coming from a perspective where I never wanted to be in any sort of relationship. I was totally content by myself. I wanted no attachments, no marriage was like completely unthinkable. Like
it's been trying to talk your friends out of marriage.
Yeah, completely. Like I'm the one who goes, that's very nice, but have you really considered? I know you love each other, but it was like all of that has just completely gone out the window. And just looking now from this perspective at what I remember from just before we got together, it's like I cannot see how the gap was bridged. It is really, really
I'm
remarkable.
the same, but also I don't even know how it happened. one of the things that is with the unfettering process is that you don't have any skin in the game anymore, which means that there's no preferences to things being in a certain way. You have no preference of being alone or being in a relationship. You have no like really, really want this or really, really don't want this. There's none of that. So there's a very, very free flowing space where things just happen and there's no hooks into anything going in a certain direction, either pro or con. It's like I talked about lots of times that there's no difference in the experience, whether you're having a root canal or warm bath. There is still just this and this and this. And if you do not add anything, weave all those experiences together, there's just the same pure space in both experiences. And it is.
So what you're saying is our marriage is a root canal.
Is absolute root canal. Absolute root canal. And there is just that pure being, which means that in the ninth fetter we work a lot with that flow that is happening, where there is not a decision made about anything going in a certain direction. It's just opening up to whatever comes along and is alive in this moment right now. And because you don't have any preferences or any steering in it anyway, you just can feel in the body that it go like, yeah. So when Todd was like, why don't you come here? And I was like, yeah. and then utterly weird as well, the first time that we then met in real life, obviously I was in love with you and I really found you so interesting and all of that before I came. But it wasn't until I got a hug and I felt the hug and I smelled Todd that I had this sensation in my body of recognition. And I cannot explain what that is about. I don't know, but it was just like a instant recognition. It was like instant falling into a life. We haven't had any honeymoon period or anything. It's just straight away it was falling into a life as if we have been married for 50 years.
Yeah. I mean, the day before she came, I remember walking around the block and just thinking, well, this is my last day of bachelorhood. And I didn't know that was the case, but there was just this complete, and it was a perfectly, accepting, happy, calm way. It wasn't like, oh, I really better make the most of this. It was just like, well, that's the way it is. And there was no like, I'm giving up something or losing something. It was just like, this is the new path. And it just felt completely right from that point. But that's the kind of our weird, unexplainable story side of it. I think, Raven, what you're really getting at is that we have an idea that life post awakening is something where all you could do is just sit in a cave and meditate and stare at a wall for years until you die. The inner experience, or the experience of life, isn't really different in that way. The inner the how do I put that? The centralizing, or the feeling of like the coalescing force that we take to be me, that has always been there, that you might not be feeling anymore. But all of the experiences are still there. You can still tell objects from other objects, people from other people. You still can relate to the world, even knowing that it's not real. You can still kind of play out the character. You can play out the roles that everybody else is in, because we're in a society where we can't just go about live through life pretending that it's a video game and that everybody is like a non-playable character and we can just do whatever we want or have no connection with them at all.
Well, that's nihilism.
Exactly. And other people are still there. They still have their inner experiences, and most of them have no idea what the hell we're talking about. So we are kind of the odd people out in this society. And it's really helpful to be able to engage in both ways, that internally, there's nothing here that is bound or attached or needs things to be a certain way, or maybe even experiences things the way that you used to, but you're still fully functional as another member of society.
Like I keep saying, you need to be able to drive a car and pay your taxes.
Exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so you finished?
Go ahead.
No, but it's just that look into what underlying belief that you have about what it means to be awake. What is it you expect will happen? What is it you expect will no longer be there, that you will be rid of? And that's a 4-5 fetter issue. There is no difference. You're just not identifying with things anymore. There's no hope for anything to be in a certain way. You allow for anything that is happening to happen the way that it happened.
And I would also say, in terms of like loving relationships and that sort of thing, why this works so well is because neither of us came into this wanting to get something out of it. It really be mindful.
We still don't want anything out of it.
But I know, but that's the thing. But most of the time in life, we when we're not going through awakened relationships and that sort of thing, there's a contractual agreement as part of the relationship. It's like, I'm into this because that person does something for me. I feel better when I'm with them. They make me feel like I'm attractive. They make me feel like there's like a social status thing. Other people are going to think better of me if I'm with this person than that person. Or, they just all the different reasons that we get into a relationship. I don't like being alone. I don't like being, like, I'll take anything basically just to not be alone.
And then you have to keep doing what you do in the certain way that I want you to do it, because otherwise I don't feel right anymore. So you need to change. There's so many hooks into that. And that is not about utter freedom for yourself and for the other person. That needs to be that you need to be in a place where you set other people free to be who they are.
Yeah. And that's where I think the difference is that, Raven, there's like the idea, and I don't know if this is exactly your case or not, but the idea that the relationships that we've had tend to be so unhealthy in those ways. There's so much expectation and attachment built into them that it's hard to imagine a relationship through the eyes of no self, if depending on what your expectations of no self are, because you're still envisioning that the relationship having that contractual basis to it. There's still the idea that I have to be a certain way, they have to be a certain way, they have to earn my love, I have to earn their love.
And we're very, very clear on also that the moment one of us do not want this anymore, then the other one is not going to stand in the way at all.
Yeah.
It is an absolute choice every single moment we're together, that this is what we want to do right now.
Yeah. So
and I also want to say it also helps. It really helps to be married to someone that is non-reactive. That there's never anything, there's never any resentment or envy or anything between the lines, or now I did that, then you have to, or you're supposed to, you said you would, or anything like that. There's none of that from either of us.
So I think the takeaway there is that actually relationships are so much better when both people, or at least one of the people, but preferably both people, have some sort of awakening practice, something where you've lost some of that selfing that tends to cause all of the stress and the conflicts in a relationship.
Yeah.
When you look at how much all of the drama in your relationship, where that comes from, it's generally always one of these fetters that's just
absolutely because it is
fighting.
just identifying. I have a belief in my mind of how the world is, and now you're challenging that. Could you stop? Because otherwise I can't maintain this belief that I have in my mind.
And even things like we take to be, financial worries and things like that are part of a relationship, they still don't have to be attached to or worked through from the same standpoint or the same starting point that you used to have. And so even those things aren't necessarily a prerequisite for argument or a prerequisite for some sort of conflict. It's possible to just be in a relationship where things just flow.
Yeah. Could you check
so there's a lot of love that explanation, particularly. There is a feeling that trauma sorry, my eyes are not great. There's a feeling that trauma cementing the feeling of not enough, worthlessness, etc. I feel like this belief blocks me from seeing through self. Can this happen? How do I move forward? Okay, we'll come back to that, Scott. Patty said, what a beautiful explanation of how love works here, even when we try to put words to it. Thank you, beautifulness. Thank you, Patty. No one in my relative circle talks about these things, and I can't get enough of this.
Oh, amazing.
Yvonne said, why can't I send message as I'm a paid member? I've just managed to send it as asked me very short. That's so funny. Like, I'm reading that message, so it worked. I can't get all my question in. Oh, that's weird. I didn't realize that there was a character limit.
No, again,
Jason said, be sure to put it in his Discord so we can get it answered. Jason, what's that?
We had Jason, so super good tech guy.
Thank you, Jason.
This is a new thing for us regarding YouTube and going live like this on the Friday. So I will look in to see if there's something about a character limit or something, like, because that would be silly.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there's a character limit, if you find out that there is, then write all your questions on Discord, and then we
we can just be monitoring Discord instead.
Okay. We have a question from Gloria.
All right.
Gloria Michelle.
Okay. Just in case I can't make it, I've been doing intense inquiries every day on the 4th and 5th fetters. Reactivity has gone way down, but how can I know when these fetters truly drop? It's confusing because emotions never go away. So until the 9th fetter falls, does reactivity ever truly go away? Thank you.
And Todd, he has an amazing standard answer to that question. When will you know when a fetter has fallen? When you're dead, you will know. That's Todd's standard. When you're dead, you will know. And it's because that the way we work with the fetters. Okay, I want to start somewhere else. The fetter work used to be for monks that was living in a monastery or living in a cave, and they had, food was brought to them. They had no family, they had no financial responsibilities. They had not anything of that. They could literally be sitting and meditating every single day. And it is so easy to be awake and be enlightened when you don't have PTA meetings and road rage and taxes and all that. It's much more challenging for what Buddha called us householders, normal people that live a normal life, to work with the fetters when you have a normal life is so much more challenging, because like I just said before, that you have that bubble of how reality look, how the world look, and people out there, they are challenging that all the time, which gives a lot of reactivity in the fourth and the fifth fetter. You will know that a fetter has fallen when there's no reactivity anymore. The moment you still react, if you still get annoyed or you still get irritated or anything like that, there's more to look at. The fourth and the fifth is very much about what I want and what I don't want, but it's based on what they do wrong. Mm. Obviously, they can't do anything wrong. It's about you. You need to go back to the second fetter to work out what it is in your underlying belief, in your starting point, in your fear, anger, guilt, and shame that is motivating you to react to what they do, because they are allowed to be whoever they are in life. So when you work with the fetters, it will become less and less, and the more diligent you work with it and you really reflect and you are non-judgmental to what any whatever comes up, the more you work with, the more it will fall. But we have also seen people that are working with things. I experienced that when we got married, when we started to live together and all that. There were so many things that I was not used to, that I had created an idea of what I was. Oh, but I have dealt with those childhood traumas. I have dealt with all that. And then all of a sudden I experienced that, oh my goodness, there was a little,
there's more.
There was a yay. There was a little snippet that I hadn't looked at, and then it's just staying with it, and then it's fine. Then it's dealt with. I can't even remember anymore. Yeah. I think we have recorded some of them, so thank God for that. Because then you just work with it, and then it's done. So I would say that a fetter has fallen when it doesn't have any potency anymore. Yeah. When another person can stand, and go like, you are, and you just notice the pearls of sweat on their forehead, and you think, oh my goodness, you need a hug. You just have like that surplus where they're not talking about you. So there's no defensiveness or reactivity in any way back. Are you done playing?
Yeah. Well, what I'm doing is because people have asked a good question. I'm going to make a Q&A.
It is already made.
There's a Q&A one?
Yeah.
On Discord?
Yeah.
Oh, well done, babe.
Yeah, that's where people write the questions.
Well, the reason, because somebody, who was it? Scott had asked which thread, and Jason said any thread will work. But
any thread will work. But that actually is a Q&A thread.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I haven't logged into Discord
under social chat. There is a thread that is called inquiry and Q&A. Where are you going?
I'm signing in on this one so that I can monitor the questions as they come in on Q&A.
Okay.
And also, Leela just signed in on the Zoom. So,
amazing.
Lots happening over here right now. Sorry.
That's amazing. So, in the social chat on Discord, there's a thread called Inquiry and Q&A. And that's where you find the link for the inquiry groups that we have every other Tuesday, and where you post the questions of which you have for Todd and I. But like Jason said, you can post a question anywhere on Discord. And if you post a question, somebody will answer. It doesn't have to be me and Todd. We are not that clever. There are lots of people on Discord that can give amazing replies to whatever question you have. And there's also the video rooms that you can go into, so you can have a video call with someone. As well. It's an amazing community.
I'm sorry, I don't see the Q&A.
Oh, that's weird.
Chat. I'm just going to make one really quickly.
That's really odd. Dun, da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. We'll just see here. It's here.
Is that a thread?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to do a whole separate room because I don't think I can't see that.
That's really odd.
Yeah, I don't think they work. Yeah, I don't have that. So I'm just going to make a Q&A channel.
Okay. But write for inquiry and Q&A, because we don't want people to go in there and write questions. We want people to write the question.
Friday Q&A.
Yeah.
Q&A. Friday Q&A.
That's fine.
Questions.
It's fine.
Questions.
Yes. So now there's a whole thread called Friday Q&A questions.
Yep.
Because apparently the thread that I made, not everybody could see.
Yeah, because it's not. I guess there's a difference between the threads and the text channels. So this is a new.
That's really weird.
So this is a new text channel.
Okay. There is Friday now Q&A. A new text channel on the Discord that is called Friday Q&A questions. And see, Harlan just wrote.
Yes.
Nailed it, Harlan. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Love it. Thank you.
That was fast.
That was quick.
Well done.
So just write your Q&A questions in there, and then we will answer those questions. Then we have Leela. Hello. Hi, Leela. Hello. Then we have then just write the questions in there, and then I'm gonna put the link in for the Tuesday inquiry group. Remember, on Tuesday next week, we have our inquiry group, and I put the Zoom link in there.
Okay. So let me just organize my screens here.
Then there's a question from Yvonne saying, okay, try again. How to live with another who's got dementia and serious...
sorry, just before we do it, Scott had asked a question earlier up that we didn't get to yet.
We have 3 more questions here.
Okay, so let's so Scott had said there's a feeling that trauma cementing. There's a feeling that trauma cements the feeling of not enough, worthlessness, etc. I feel like this belief blocks me from seeing through the self. Can this happen? How do I move forward? Yes, 100%. So.
Definitely. And it's why if you go to the second fetter, we're working a lot with trauma, a lot with underlying beliefs and who you believe you to be and the way that you are in the world. We basically, all of us have a how can you say, like a foundational go-to that we react with fear, that no matter what happens, oh no, what now, or we feel guilty or shameful about, for example, all this with the threats and all that. If there was any identification, that could be a huge thing, feeling shameful or feeling guilty or feeling all of that. And if there's any of that, it's the second fetter that you sorted out in.
Also, I was going to say, if you look at is that on your channel? My channel. I have the thing about the foundational triangle.
I think it's on. I can't remember.
Okay, so check either Awakening Curriculum or Unfettered Mindfulness.
Yeah.
I have a video where I was explaining the foundational triangle.
I actually think it's on. I can't remember.
But
we've got so much material.
I know. But in brief, it's how the first fetter can be bolstered by the second and the third. So it's not necessarily a linear thing that once you get through the first, then you work with the second, or that sort of. It's as you were just saying, all of the identification of the emotions and the traumas and all of that very much support the first in keeping you from being able to let go of a lot of those attachments.
It's one of those things we talked about making a weekend retreat about the foundational triangle. That how those 3 first fetters just keep pushing one another and making deeper and deeper identification with it.
Yeah, but I mean, there is so much material on the second fetter stuff to work with. I hope that.
And then use Discord. Write to people. There are lots of people that have worked through their trauma really well, and also embodiment is important. Any kind of exercise. I love the existential release. It's part of we had an embodiment retreat this year that is like a whole curriculum on its own about unfettered embodiment. And I think I'm going to take one of the exercises that we have in that curriculum there, the existential release, and put it in on Discord. I'm not too happy to have it on YouTube just lying about.
Yeah, I get that.
I would like to have it. So I think I'm going to put it into embodiment on Discord and then do that exercise. It's immensely good to getting in contact with what is and allowing the body. And the most important thing when you do this is not for you to interfere with what the body is doing, but just allowing the body to experience and express, where you are just sitting and noticing, what the body does. There's not an I anywhere that can have any feelings about what is happening. It's just the body that is reacting.
Yeah. And I would just say too, when you have those feelings of not enough, worthlessness, all of that, recognize that the thought is there, but also recognize what is happening in the body when that thought is happening, because the sensations that arise in the body are there to support and make real or make feel real whatever verbal story is coming up. And notice if it's coming up for you as a verbal story. Is it something where you are actually saying to yourself, I suck, I don't deserve to live, I shouldn't be here, I'm just not good at that? Is there a lot of negative self-talk happening? And one thing like you often recommend is the kind of brainwashing in the other direction to run, I love myself, I'm
here.
I'm safe, I'm able to take up space, I deserve to take up space, things like that.
And again, like just in a bracket, it's just getting back on that seesaw. That when you for so many years have been on the negative side, the other part with the positive affirmations, it's just for the seesaw to get into the middle way where you actually have a chance. It's not we don't want you to land in that and have that to be a new belief that you then
I'm amazing. But
you are.
But the thing is to then actually you can use that as a first fetter inquiry, because if you have that idea that I am just worthless, okay, what I are we talking about? There might be something where you're like, I'm just not very good at softball. Okay, maybe there's some factual truth to you compared to somebody else are not as skilled in that, but see where else that's pointing to. And generally speaking, our thoughts are much more non-specific than that. It's like this feeling of, I am just not that good. I'm flawed in some way. I'm not worthy. However it's showing up for you, look specifically, where is that I? Where is the one who is not good enough? Are you talking about the physical body? Are you talking about something in the personality? Are you talking about the way that you speak? Is there an expression? Get very specific on what it is that is not good enough. And then see, is that something which is always here? Is that something which is a permanent fixture in this world? Is the body always the same? Does the body ever change? Look into and really dissect those thoughts. If we have specific critiques of the body, where those came from. Is this just a cultural cultural assimilation, something that you've taken on because you've heard from something else? Get very curious about why you believe the things about you that you do. And then again, go that one step below to just undercut it all and say, where is the one who is unworthy? And really look for where that internal homunculus who is a real problem child is. Where is that in your experience?
And then while you're at it, also look at who said that. Who are that voice to know? Who are that voice to have any power of judgment of anything? I mean, it comes from the brain. The brain has never been outside of the body. It's never experienced anything. It's just collecting information and passing judgment, but has no idea about anything. And when we really start to look into like, okay, who said that? It's really that you will so clearly see that it's the thinker that is a thought. The thought is a thinker. It's the same thing that is having discussions with itself while you just sit and relax and have a cup of tea.
Exactly. I was going to say, does it feel like it's you who thinks that thought?
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's me who says I'm a terrible human being? Okay.
Are you sure? How do you know?
Yeah. Well, where is the one who also doesn't fully believe that?
Yeah.
Where's the one who feels that that's a problem? There's something, if you're coming from the standpoint where you know that I have this feeling that keeps coming out of nowhere that's just saying like, I am miserable, I'm a terrible person, and I just believe it, I can't shake it. Where is the one who knows that it's being plagued by this demon of a thought that's coming behind it? And how is that somehow different from the voice that is saying all these awful things? So you want to see like you said, where's the thought coming from? Is it really you who's thinking it? Is it you who's recognizing it? And who is that thought actually talking about?
And a lot of times you will find out that, oh my goodness, this is exactly what my mom or my dad or my teacher or my big brother or anybody, this is actually exactly how they used to say it. So it might not even be yours. You might just have copy pasted something from somebody that is not even in the room anymore.
Yeah.
And you just keep doing the exact same thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Second Fettite.
Yeah.
Second Fettite.
And also first.
Okay. And third.
And third.
And 4 and 5. Now we're at it.
Okay. Try again. How to live with. Okay. So this was Yvonne. How to live with another who's got dementia and serious is it COPD?
No, it's COOD. I don't know what that is.
Been away with medical problem, back, found home incredibly dirty, now not allowed to clean my home, or he shouts at me. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry that that's your life right now.
Oh, OC, is that, wait, no, was this OCD? I'm trying to figure out if it was a typo or just something that we're not getting the right accurate
and there's
acronym
a continuation
for. I'm trying to figure out if it was a typo or just something.
COPD.
COPD.
Oh, it is COPD. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leela.
COPD.
I don't know if the microphone picked any of that up, but we had a nice echo chamber happening there. Thanks, Leela. Okay.
There's another part of it.
It's the most challenging. It is the most challenging situation. He has no idea about how difficult it is. I meditate 3 times a day and just about coping.
Yeah. I'm so sorry that is your experience and that is your life. All this that we talk about when we talk about no self, when we talk about unfettering and all that, it's not something that we want people to be able to continue living, and this is not the case with you, Yvonne. Continue living in a toxic relationship, or stay in a job that is super toxic and not good for you, or be in any way where you're being exploited or abused in any way. When we talk about unfettering, it can very, very quickly become a bypassing of a very toxic situation where you are blaming the victim and keep saying that I need to deal with this. There's no I, so I cannot get angry, or I cannot get hurt, or I cannot be affected in any way, because then that is selfing and that's illegal. It's really important that when you, no matter who you are, when you embark on the awakening path, that you are in a healthy position, that you are in good mental health, that you feel strong and supporting yourself, that you are in a good position in your life, and that it's not something that is just a way to bypass a toxic life situation. I just wanted to get that out of the way. It sounds to me, Yvonne, obviously I don't know the situation. I haven't met your husband. I don't know. I've never met you in person. I don't know anything other than what you have just what you have just written. And to be with people with Alzheimer's or dementia is immensely challenging, and we need help. We cannot do that alone. It's some people can. You did with your mom alone for 20 years.
It wasn't that bad until the last few, but yeah.
But it's not healthy to do things like that alone. There's like so much life that is being put aside and put into carrying two people, which none of us are meant to in any way. So if it is a situation where you need help, you need help, and that's okay. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say I can't deal with this anymore. There's nothing lost in that. There's no one judging you for feeling this is way too much. I have to meditate 3 times a day just to get my head above water. Life is not supposed to be like that. So if you need help, you need help, which is completely fine. It's completely okay. It's not a failure in any way to ask for help. When that is said, I think I have all the caveats out of the way. It's always down to how we perceive things. It's always down to, because the reality of the situation that you're in is only reality to you. As you say, your husband is not even aware of how filthy the house is. To him, it's not even filthy, which means that it's in your mind that it is. And you might sit now and say, but objectively it is. If other people that come to the house, well, I can find equally many people that go like, it's nothing. So it's not objectively, it's in you that it's like that. And right now you're the one suffering. So if we say that you do not need help, that it is a marriage situation where you're just different people, or a job situation where you're just different people, family situation, some kind where it's just different people, you can only look at yourself. You cannot demand anyone else to be any different than they are. Even if they are raging narcissists, you cannot demand them to be any different. It's their choice. They are the ones that need to seek help, not you. So you are the one that are dealing with your shit, with your bullshit backpack, and you do that the best that you can. If the situation is toxic, get out.
Yeah. And I would also say, the thing that I kind of say to everybody who's in a situation with either caregiving or something where you're doing a lot of stuff for somebody else, is to really make sure that you are just being aware of what you are doing in this moment and not putting on it any other, and then I have to do, and then I have to do, and then I have to do, and then tomorrow I've got to do, and then the next day we've got to do. Because all of that, again, is in the mind. It's not really happening right now. You may or may not have to do any of that. You don't actually know. As much as we like to think that we can plan ahead, any sort of positive or negative calamity might befall us. We just don't know. And so the only thing that is logical is to simply be with the single task that you're doing while you're doing it. With any sort of stress that's there in that moment, make sure that it's just the stress that is happening right then. And then see if you can detach it from all of the past interactions that you've had, all of the imagined future interactions that you might have. Just see it objectively from in this particular instant. See if you can kind of step out and have this sort of detached view of the situation, so that it's not me with all of my history with this person and all the things that I want him to be able to do differently or to see things differently and all of that. Step out from that and just see, what is the situation actually like? If you were just coming into the room for the first time, you're just a bystander passing through. What is actually happening here in this room right this moment?
I think you have I think this is one of those instances. We have this a lot, that Todd, he has a conversation with someone. This is actually a Daryl. If you guys know about the Daryl and the Wheel of Identification, if you don't know about it, I can warmly recommend you to start to watch that series. It's absolutely amazing. But in one of those, you have a conversation with Daryl, and I'm absolutely paraphrasing here, where you say something. He's talking about that that because he's taking care of the house and the family, and his wife is working, so he's, what do you call that?
Like a
stay-at-home dad. And he's emptying the dishwasher for the trazillionth time. And you say something like, if time does not exist, how many times did you empty the dishwasher? And he was just like, completely seeing it. Oh my God, there's only now. There's only this plate out of the dishwasher. There's nothing else. There's not a trazillion times more I need to empty this dishwasher. Or if you're tired about sweeping the floor, if time does not exist, how many times have you actually swept this floor? And it's just like, right, it's now and now and now. There's nothing more than that. And it's where a lot of our suffering actually happens, because we look elsewhere, not where we are at right now, but we look at the past of all the things we have done, or we look at the future of all the things that we have to do and get utterly exhausted, instead of just being right now. And if you are a caregiver, a caretaker in any way, then it's this diaper right now, it's this blood right now, it's this right now, and that's the way.
And there's no further ramification of any of it. It is just the simple doing of the task in this moment, without any thoughts about it means that it's going to get worse. It means that, I shouldn't have to do this, and any of those resistances. They're just coming up, making something that you're already doing into something absolutely awful. And that is the part that is choice in quotes. But that's where we really want to just build up a different habit, so that you're able to be and to do, just as you said, one instant at a time, without relating to any sort of temporal ideas.
Yeah. I think Halani actually has a question in there about time.
Okay, so Pernilla, you have made the point that the future is unknowable and it just unfolds without us controlling it. Yet we entertain thoughts of planning for the future. For example, we know that most people leave work at 5 o'clock, so there will be more traffic around 5 to 6. Are you saying that there is no point in planning for what is more likely to occur, even though there's no certainty, like avoiding the roads at 5:30?
No, I'm not saying that. Like we say a lot of times, that a normal life is still happening. What we are talking about in that instance is that if you know that on average, I actually think I have a lesson in the first fetter about this, where I talk about this. You know that if you want to be at work at 8 o'clock in the morning and there's lots of traffic, you will need to leave home an hour earlier, otherwise you won't make it. Then you put your alarm on and you get up and you get ready and you leave in proper time. So if everything is like normal, then you will be at work at 8. We do, however, know that is rarely what happens. That's rarely what happens. Even with the example that you give, that you want to avoid the roads at 5:30, something else can happen. That we believe that things are in a certain way. It's just a belief, and it might be based on a lot of times where it was exactly like that. You left home at 7, you were at work at 8, absolutely worked out. The majority of times it's not like that, though. Either we are hitting the green stream, so we are actually at work at 7:45, or there's road work or something, so it's 8:15. But we have a tendency to only focus on whatever we believe the strongest. So if you have that strong idea, if I leave at 7, I will be at work at 8, then you tend to highlight those instances where that actually happened and go like, this is really surprising. I am late for work again. This is really odd, even though it's the 10th time, but it's not what your brain is highlighting, so you're not really noticing it. That was one thing I want to say. The other thing I want to say about it's the identification with it. Can you be in a world where you say, okay, I need to leave at 7 to be at work at 8? that might happen, like the Arabs say it with inshallah, let's see, if that's going to happen. We hope it's going to happen. We're not sure if it's going to happen. So let's see where we're at. So there's an openness to lifing, to life happening. Then you forgot the laptop at work and need to turn around to pick it up. And instead of you being angry all the way back to pick up your laptop, then it's just like, oh, wow, another instance of me believing that I know something in advance. And here we go.
Yeah, I was going to say, we even had an example yesterday. We normally go grocery shopping on Wednesdays, and every now and then something will happen, like this Wednesday. Long story, but we're just like, well, we'll go tomorrow. We'll go on Thursday. And we found when we went yesterday that they didn't have a lot of the stuff that we were going for, and the traffic was like crazy for some reason.
So many cars.
So many cars. It was so wild, and not particularly good drivers either. And
no. Todd is a real Sunday driver, and he believes everybody that goes like 1 kilometer past the limit is like a rebel on the road. Not that bad. No, I'm exaggerating.
Yeah, but my point was that we're like, okay, well, yeah, it's really, I think we're going to stick to going on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
But we also know that there's no attachment to that. It is entirely possible that next week it's going to be a Thursday.
We're leaving on Thursdays again.
So it's like, yeah, it's good to acknowledge that, yeah, things probably would be better maybe if we, had this, went on a Wednesday, left work at a certain time, to avoid traffic. You can make those plans. You just have absolutely no idea. And it's really about the attachment of whether you get upset that it doesn't play out. If we got really irritated, like, oh, we were going to go on Wednesday and we couldn't go. And now we have to go on Thursday and deal with all those awful drivers, and they're not going to have what we want. And if you make a big deal out of it like that, then you have this attachment to it. And that's what we're talking about, is like, can you just be flowing with it and go, okay, well, we'll go tomorrow. And then you kind of see how it happens. It might turn out completely differently. You don't know.
And it's also, like I said, that we're not living in a cave, we're not living in a monastery where everything is sorted out for us. We are normal people. We are householders. So we have PTA meetings and road rage and and taxes, and we have all those things that we need to sort out as well. So it's a lot, and it's super helpful just to notice how attached you are to things being in a certain way, and how open you are for it to be, okay, that was clearly not what I was. But I'm thinking of, like, we used to have this Friday meeting and a Zoom call, but then it didn't really work because it turned into what we have on Tuesday. So it's like, okay, let's try this format. So now we're trying this. So it's that not being attached to anything being in a certain way, but just, and obviously we had to plan this. We had to tell you guys that we were here. So planning obviously happened.
But then even this morning, we're like opening it up, like not exactly sure how to do this, like scheduled the session, but not actually sure how to access it.
No, and like you just saw finding out that didn't work. And then, so nothing is ever like you plan it to be. You can plan it and go in that direction, but you cannot have expectations for it to go the way that you plan. I'm going to turn this one off.
And then Yvonne also followed up and said, I feel like I've been training for this. I'm not angry with him. I practice being present all the time. I feel such compassion for him. He's so depressed and locked into his thoughts. Yeah.
It's a painful place to be for him. It's really, really difficult for people with, And
that's the other thing. And I'm glad you brought that up, Yvonne, because it is so important to also recognize what the other person is going through. Because when we're in this kind of situation, most of the time we become very self-reflective. It's all about me and the suffering that I'm going through and the injustice and all of that stuff. And it's really helpful to get out of that and turn it to the compassion for the other person, which in itself really has a strong power to break down a lot of that selfing and that resistance to what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Then there was this one from Lee Kruner. I don't know who that is.
And Harlan said, "Thank you both. That really helped. I see that it is the attachment to the outcome and then the disappointment and frustration when things didn't unfold the way we want. That's the lesson."
Yeah, it's about expectations that we get so frustrated when we expect something. But again, I think I have another lesson about that where I talk about expectations, that the moment you have an expectation about something, you are a victim, because if anything happens that is not the way that you want it to happen, you are immediately a victim of circumstance. So it's really important to be aware of expectations in life, what we expect to happen, and be very much aware the moment you expect something, you just make yourself a victim for circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that.
Thank you.
Okay. L.E. or Lay Crooner. Pernilla, as a child, I learned very early on to not go to the bathroom when I had the urge to go. In retrospect, it makes sense that this holding was a way for me to feel like maybe I had some control over something, to keep the fear of helplessness at bay. Now I see this is the whole ego in its entirety, lol. So this holding has seemingly caused physical ramifications now in my adult life. Do you have any advice as to how to address this in the body?
Yeah. The first thing I would like for you to start noticing is your needs, your basic needs. When you're thirsty, immediately go and get some water. When you need the bathroom, immediately go to the bathroom. When you're tired, immediately rest, mental rest, or go to bed. Whatever need you have, meet it right away. If you go to the third fetter, then everything, all the lessons there is about this. It's about noticing the needs that you have and meeting the needs right away. It's the entire curriculum is what I call the self-care for the non-self. And there's a lot in there that will help you really to become aware of this. Obviously, you need to look into the second fetter about the trauma that you have in your body. And then I would recommend you to do the existential release. It's an exercise where you're sitting and you're tilting over the pubic bone and going with that with your breath. And because you're moving your spine like that, that movement is activating a lot of energy and a lot of emotions that are being released. Like I said, I'm going to post a video that we have from the embody. To all of you in general, I can recommend you to buy the emotional the embodied retreat that we have. We had an unfettered embodiment retreat, and it's $250 or something like that for the entire retreat. It's a complete curriculum with body exercises and everything. And the reason we have it,
35 videos or something.
Yes, completely insane amount of material. And the reason we have it is that there's so many things that we would like to have some kind of hand holding in people using it. We don't just want it to be on YouTube. So I can recommend that warmly to anybody. And you can ask in the Discord anybody that was participating in the retreat. All of them utterly love it because it's really, really good. Being embodied in your awakening is super important. That was one thing. The other thing is that I will make a little snippet if you don't want to buy the whole retreat and all of that, or you can't afford it, or whatever. I'm going to make a little snippet of that existential release, which is really, really good. Another thing I can recommend you is stomping exercises. Toddy has made a really good music score.
Percussion track,
which is really good for stomping and for moving your body in those stumping into the ground. I am here, I'm standing here, I have a right to be here, and really stumping with that percussion track. And you will feel how your emotions are coming up to the surface. I'm going to put it in to actually think it is in the embodiment.
I think it probably is.
I think I already have put it in. And play it and just, move the body in whichever way your body wants to be moved, and stomp and cry and scream. You can roar into a pillow if you need to, and you don't want the neighbors to call the police.
Yeah, and actually we had heard from, who was it? Anne, I think, who said that actually a towel in the mouth is even better than using the, so use a rolled up towel in the mouth to scream into, and it's even more effective than a pillow.
There we go. But those exercises, so those 3 things, meeting your needs right away, the 4 things, watching the entire third fetter, do the existential release exercise, and do the stumping with the percussion track, will all help you in moving forward. And then write in Discord under embodiment, keep writing in there, and speaking with the others that have experienced similar things. I know you have gotten a lot of amazing answers from people in there as well. Do you have anything to add?
No, that was really good. Thanks. I think that's good.
We have one more question here. Yeah. Is it one more or 2 more? Let's see. Oh, that's a long one.
All right.
It's a long one. Do we have anything up there?
No.
No. Good.
Okay. Ready? Digging in?
Yes.
All right. This is another one from Raven. Dearest Pernilla and Todd, I have already asked a question you're planning on answering, but have one more that feels so sticky here. I understand if asking 2 is too much, but if it's okay. My parents were atheists. My understanding is the word God was never mentioned in the home until I first talked. My mother claimed almost my first word was God, and I had imaginary friends I called angels. As I got more articulate, I kept saying I wanted to be with God. I was so persistent that by age 4, she began taking me to local churches. Apparently, I was very disappointed, but couldn't articulate what my idea of God was, only that he wasn't in any church. I've been seeking ever since. I can't seem to let go of the fact that I seem to come in believing in or knowing a God and angels. If there's no such thing, which I've thought of as source or energy for years now, then where or how did this come from? Thanks again for absolutely everything you do, both of you do online.
You're so welcome. Oh, I think it was in the inquiry last time we had the last week where I said the thing about that you have no soul. It has really pushed a lot of buttons, and I'm really sorry if it has been challenging in a way that is not supposed to. There's so many layers in that thing.
Yeah.
The first thing I would like to say is a little bit of a warning, because I'm very uncomfortable talking about these things, because it's 8 fetter stuff, and if you have a belief in God or angels or the universe or being part of the universe or somebody holding you or anything like that, then I would like for you to stay there as long as it gives you something. The problem with beliefs like that is that because it's a belief, and it is a belief because it's a thought, you haven't got those sensations if you're not thinking. So it's just a little bracket. So it is a belief. The problem with a belief like that is that it's only present and happening when you're thinking. When the belief is intact, you feel connected to God or the universe or higher power and supported by spirits and angels and all of that. But it's only happening when you're thinking like that. Then chemistry happens, or you're not having enough sleep, or your mom calls, or whatever happens, and suddenly you are, you're thrown into doubt and depression and nihilism and all of that, which is also just beliefs, but is on the seesaw of the beauty of the universe and unified all of that. It's just on the other side of it. But what we're talking from is the middle way. And that is where there is no thoughts about it. And where because there's no thoughts about it, there's also a very, very clear understanding that we do not know anything. We are puny minds, and in puny bodies, we have a puny lifespan, and we do not know anything. We spend the majority of our life looking into a mirror, talking to ourselves, and then we die. That's basically it. So we do not know anything. So I'm not saying that there are no angels and there's no universe and there's no God and there's no soul. I'm not saying that there is. Pause it. But I'm not saying that there isn't either. we are in the middle way of not knowing. That's the first thing. The second thing I want to say, when you as a child talked about God, and the first thing that you said was God, what language was that said in? It was probably said in the language that is part of your culture. And that's the thing that we have with all of those stories of children, Indian children, for example. Prosit. Prosit. All of those stories of Indian children that can remember their reincarnation, and they're Hindi. So they're Hindus. What do you call them?
Hindus.
Plural Hindus. So they come from a culture where that is normal. They're not born and talk about ein Gott or in Gud in another language. They're talking about it from where they are from. So when you have, even though your parents were atheists, you being born and starting to talk about it, you talk about it the way that it's talked about in your society, which means that it's, I don't know what that means.
Well, can I
Yes.
jump in? So I think this is such an interesting question, and it's such an interesting topic. And like you were alluding to, I've always been really fascinated by those studies that Dr. Ian Stevenson and Dr. Jim Tucker have done with children who remember past lives and experiences like that. And what's really interesting is that there are like a number of kids who have, in those early years, remembered things where they would say things like what you said, Raven, and this idea of that there's this God that they were with, or some sort of higher power that they were with, and it's an experience that they apparently come in with. What's interesting is that, like you said, there are also many variations on this, where some kids remember their past lives, but they don't. And they remember the time in between the lives, but it's nothing at all like that. And so there are many different variations of what kids come in remembering. We don't really know what to make of that. It doesn't mean that any of them are true or necessarily untrue. Where I think it's relevant to look at, though, and I noticed, like Raven, in this, you said that you've kind of changed the terminology to source or energy, something like that. Which shows that there is a feeling there which is not being encapsulated by the terminology God or whatever itself. But I think where it's a good question to ask yourself is, why do I need to know? There's a feeling that, okay, if you came into this world and you were already with God or knew God before you came in, then presumably when you die, you are going to go back to that God or that same experience. But for a lot of kids who have had those experiences, they spend the entire life kind of searching for that here in this body, in this experience, as though it's something that you need to know here, and then get this sort of higher truth element embodied. Like, this is like something that you need to do and know here. And it's I would suggest that you try to feel into why you need to know that here. You might have experiences of oneness and what people define as source, and you can have all of those, but what does it give you to be able to concretize it and label it and put it into a conceptual box that this is the thing that you came in searching for, that this is God or source, and not just yet another really nice state, feeling unified and one and not separate and not suffering, and all of the, content, great feelings that come about with it. Why does that have to be made into something more? Is it because there is a fear of some existential dread? Is there some feeling of needing to know what is true or not because it alleviates some other feeling of unease? Like, just be honest with why you need to know the truth behind it. And is
there truth?
Well, and is it okay if there isn't?
Yeah.
We don't want to lock into the idea that there is a truth and that you can absolutely know it. But for this part of the investigation, it's really helpful to find out, do you feel like you can live with the possibility of never actually knowing? Why do you need to have a truth to rely upon?
And it's also whatever truth we reach at the end and saying this is the truth, now I know, it's still based on our bubble of reality and our bullshit backpack. Because if time does not exist, if it's not horizontal at all, but it's vertical, all of it is happening at the same time, which means that you are already with God and you are born right now, and all of it is happening right now. I mean, just that thought alone can make your brain go like, but it makes you see that, okay, what I hold on to or want a grasp for to understand is to give, like Todd said, some kind of safety blanket underneath. So I'm caught. So when I die, I'm not really dying. I'm not really dead. I'm still here in some form that feels comfortable.
Yeah, and if you feel like you're doing this because you need to prove the validity or the truth of what you remember feeling when you came in, it's also helpful to recognize that you're probably not experiencing it now the way that you were when you were 3 or 4 years old and had whatever that experience was. That memory has changed and grown and morphed in so many ways that I'm sure the actual experience that you had as an infant or a toddler who was talking about God and wanting to rejoin him, it, she, however you were conceptualizing at the time, how you're feeling, how you're feeling it now, and what you've taken that to mean and to feel now, I'm sure is not exactly how it was experienced as a 2, 3, 4-year-old. It's interesting because when you read a lot of those accounts of kids who have memories of past lives and things, they tend to, by the time they're like 6, most of them forget them. And a lot of times, like, it's completely gone. But you do get cases like that where it seems to impart something that leaves this feeling of longing for that all the time. But I think we even have that, like, sometimes you'll have a dream that feels really real in a way, and like you're always longing to get back to that feeling of the dream. But it doesn't mean that the dream was real or that there was any truth in the dream. There was some deeper something that it touched. Or psychedelic experiences. People take psychedelics and then strive through meditation or other practices to reach what they felt like they got on the psychedelic, but it was just an experience happening in the mind because you took some exogenous chemical.
But also, if it's not necessarily that it has to be something that you're longing for or wanting to get back to, but it's still that I remember other lives, and when I was younger, I used to think it was previous lives because I believed that time did exist and everything is happening horizontally, and that was previous or future, but not necessarily, it was not right here. But when I then started to become aware of, well, time doesn't actually exist, everything is happening in a moment right now, and we do not know how time actually is, I'm much more open to other ideas, that it could be that it's happening right now, and it could be that, I don't know, the 10th fetter of, I have no idea. And a lot of times when I'm thinking about those memories that I have, it's just, I have no idea. It's just like we talked about with the way that we met, and we have no idea how that happened either. It's an utter mystery. No idea how that is even possible.
Complete providence.
Yeah.
No
so but then in the 10th fetter, where it's really knowing the wisdom of ignorance, really knowing that you do not know anything. We only have our own little puny minds to think this is the entire universe, and it just isn't. We don't know anything. We do not know anything. We can just tag along enjoy as much as possible, and then we die.
I think the real problem is that we have a world full of religions that try to guilt or fear us into locking into or buying into the dogma of one of them, because that is the one that is going to save you.
Yeah.
And otherwise you're damned for eternity, and I'm sorry, you picked the wrong one.
Yeah.
And when you are here in direct experience, when you're right here in the present, none of that seems possible, relevant, has anything to do with anything outside of some imagination. It's some fairy tale that you've heard.
No.
The problem is we can't say that it's not true, but there is absolutely nothing in our experience that gives any indication that it might be.
But even when you look closer in the sixth fetter, when you work with it, even when you look closer to what you believe is true right now, even that is not true. It's just what you believe is true. I believe that I'm sitting here. If I close my eyes, I can have the idea that Todd, he's sitting right here, and I feel his hand on my knee and my hand on his arm and his thigh. But if I sit just a moment, then suddenly the distinction between what I take to be my body and what I take to be his body is completely blurred. There's no difference between me and his body. I don't know if I'm touching me or him anymore, because I do not know. I need thoughts that are giving mental images of what it is that I'm feeling to know what is happening with my eyes open, because when my eyes are closed, it's something completely different that is happening. So it's really that sixth fetter of you do not know. You do not know anything. It's thoughts that are giving different flavors and ideas, and that's about it. That's about it.
Yeah, and we really live in a world of thoughts.
Everything is mental fabrication.
Exactly.
Nothing more.
Everything that we take to be true, everything, every religion that we buy into, every cultural belief that we take for granted, every object that we take to be as it is, with its given uses and names and labels and
but even
solidity,
who you take you to be,
exactly,
mental fabrication. Everything
absolutely
is mental fabrication.
Every
None of it
aspect
is real.
Yeah, what can you actually know without appealing to thought?
Absolutely nothing. It's nothing.
It is just color, vibration, vague shape, vague
become aware how
jarringly
ignorant you are. Yeah. That we all are.
Yeah, because everything that we think we know is taken from, like you said before, it's the brain is just grabbing for whatever it can, pulling in as much many little threads as it can to try to make some sense and knit a tapestry of what we think the world is. But it's our own particular tapestry that we've made based on the few bits of information compared to what is out there.
Yeah.
It's
and it's really
very limited.
Picking and choosing what that tapestry then looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a question from Patty.
Oh, hello, Patty. I'm about to embark on a task that historically has made me feel uneasy. It's tech-heavy, using software I'm not familiar with, and has many moving parts. I sweat when I'm interacting with all the moving parts, yet there's a renewed sense that this is a new opportunity, but every once in a while, the old gut feeling of inadequacy, oh geez, that's a thought, arises. But I'm really curious if I'm up to the task.
Oh, you're probably not. No, but again, it depends on what you. That's and I don't mean to be snacky or anything when I say you're probably not, but it's because the brain will always play a +1 game for you. So no matter how much you're up to the task, when you have done the task, there will be, that was really well done. And then the mind will kick in, yeah, but next time, sweetheart, how about we instead? And then there will be things that you should do different next time. So you will always end up in the place where you did not do it good enough. It can be done much better. Knowing that is very relaxing. Knowing that no matter how well you do it, you will always have a thought telling you that you did not do it good enough. You can do better next time. That's just, it. So do everything you can so you have that feeling of calming yourself in what you're doing. And if something is tech heavy and you're not good with tech, if it's tech heavy and you love tech, it's a completely different ball game, obviously. But do everything that you can so you have a feeling of calm in every step that you take, because your life is nothing but those instances, a step and a step and a step. Make sure that every step you go through, you have a feeling of calm, stillness, simplicity, and contentment. And then the next step, stillness, simplicity, and contentment. And then the next step. Because the life you're living is now. You think right now that the life you're living is kind of like based on what is going to happen when that huge event is happening, and after that, then life can start. Or if any of you are going on a holiday and you're just getting through the days until here is the holiday, or if you're pregnant and here is the birth, or here you're getting married, or here you're graduating, or whatever, we have this idea that life is just, and then after that, then life is going to be great. We're completely missing that life is now, is this moment and this moment and this moment, and none of them are connected at all. It's just a pure unfolding now and now and now. So I would say keep focusing on that, and just know that no matter how you do, your mind will tell you that you didn't do it well enough. You might have done it well enough, but it can be done better next time.
Yeah. And following up on that, I would also say, notice that you're generalizing, and notice the urge to go, okay, maybe you aren't very good at tech stuff, but why does that get taken to mean that there's something about you that is inadequate or less than? That one instance of not being particularly good at calligraphy is being taken to be, see, this is yet another sign I'm really not good at things. And then it just feeds back into this story that's been lurking all along. So taking the instance for what it is, you're doing something with a tech piece of software that you're not familiar with. First of all, there's no judgment in not being good at something that you're not familiar with, right? If every child went into a new venture feeling like they had to be perfect at it before they can even start to learn it, nobody would ever do anything. So giving yourself the leeway to just be, yeah, okay, I'm not an expert in this software. I will figure it out and do my best as I'm doing it. So coming in with your judgments set aside, but then if those thoughts do come in, recognizing that this does not point to any greater inadequacy. And like I said I have already forgotten, it's weird doing this in this context because I can't remember now who we spoke to. Was it Scott or Harlan? About that you have the, who is it that inadequacy thought is pointing to?
Yeah, I can't remember who
I know.
that was.
See, it's weird, right? It's weird when you don't have a face to put it to. You kind of forget who you just spoke with. It's really weird. So it's that going back to, okay, I'm not sure how to do this. I'm feeling uneasy because I feel unsafe because I'm afraid that I'm going to make a mistake. A, is it okay to make a mistake?
Can you be in a body?
B, yeah, can you be in a body that is on the verge of potentially making a mistake? Is it really that dire if you do make a mistake? But feeling into that, allowing that to happen, and then noticing if that thought comes up that, yeah, I knew I shouldn't have done this. I'm never good at these things. I'm always, what is that pointing to? Who is here right now at a computer who is the same one who was there doing whatever the last thing was that got criticized a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago? Where is the consistency in this moment of the one who is always inadequate? And let that be a call to investigation right then while you're sitting at the computer feeling bad about yourself. Who is feeling bad about what? What is that pointing you towards? So just notice that pattern of generalization, that we take one thing that we're not good at to be reflective of the entire value, worth, and ability of whatever we take this to be, and then look at what is that pointing to? Who is the one who is supposedly here and either really good at stuff or really bad at it?
And also remember that time doesn't exist. With the time travel exercise that we have in the seventh feather, I'm pointing to the exercise where you go back in time. You can also go forward in time because time doesn't exist. So you can actually sit and be with Patty, that is, sitting in the bathroom, breathing into a paper bag because the meeting is going so bad, or whatever. You can actually speak to the Patty just before you go into the meeting and calm down, remind of everything Todd just said. And you can actually do that because time does not exist. It's only in your mind. Yeah. Harlan has another one.
Harlan chimed back in again.
So nice.
I know that the sense of I is just a collection. Oh, wait, sorry. Patty said, holy moly, I would not have come up with those responses. Thank you. But yes, I'm probably not up to the task. LOL. And it's okay.
Is it okay? Is it okay not to be up to the task? Is it okay? Every time we do something that develops us, it's usually things that are deeply uncomfortable. It's rare that we are developing in total bliss. So you are standing in front of something that is going to give you a completely new dimension on how you view how you view managing tasks. Listen to this part over and over and over again. Take notes about it so you can prepare yourself mentally as well for what you are about to do. Yeah. Good.
Love it. All right, so Harlan, I know that the sense of I is just a collection of thoughts and beliefs. So why does it feel so personal when someone attacks a core belief like all people should be treated with dignity, yet not personal at all about other beliefs like chocolate versus vanilla? Chocolate, obviously.
Unless you can have vanilla with chocolate sprinkles.
No. Chocolate and vanilla swirled, okay, but no.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah, sure. So I think that there are a lot of there are a few things at play, at least. So certain beliefs have very physical components attached to them. They feel viscerally true in a way, and it's really important to feel into the body when you find yourself being caught up in defending something or feeling a particular belief is true. If somebody says that everybody should be treated with dignity, feel what's happening in you. Or I should say, if somebody says not everybody is worthy of being treated with dignity, some people should just be used and discarded, feel what happens in you right then when you hear that. That is pointing to I use A, B's, and C's a lot, don't I? I'm just realizing there's like
nailing it, babe.
Yeah,
Go on.
There is a sensation which is making that thought into something more than it is. You have a thought. A belief is just a thought. So you have a belief or a thought that is saying everybody should be treated equally. Okay. That by itself does not have any more weight than chocolate is a far superior flavor to vanilla. But probably when you hear that chocolate is better than vanilla, you don't feel that same sort of contraction in the body. You don't feel the reactivity, the denseness, the heaviness, the defensive posture. So notice how much that sensation is contributing to the validity and the substance of that thought.
But 100%. Yeah. Can you hold the B and C? Can you remember the B and C?
We'll try.
Okay. Because it's that thing, for example, I can be very calm in lots of different situations where I hear people being racist and, anything. But if I see violence towards a child, I mean, I'm a mama bear right away. I am, reacting right away because I feel it in my body. I'm back to being that child. So my reaction is based on my projection of how that feels like for the child. Now I'm an adult and I can knock you out, mister. So it's because there's an icky sensation in the body that I can feel that is so icky that I do not want to stay with it. So instead, I'm going to knock him out. He should not treat a child like that. And off he is. Because then I don't feel it anymore. And I'm in the right, because men should not hit their children. Moms should not hit their children. Nobody should be cruel towards children ever. Yeah. And I'm right. And all of us here can be completely agree on that I'm right, which means that I'm in my right to knock anybody out that hits a child, right? But the matter of the fact, that is a 5 fetter issue. And the 5 fetter issue is just covering over an underlying belief that comes from the 2nd fetter of a childhood, with lots of different types of abuse. Yeah. So that is the reaction. It's not, and that is why there's such a difference in asking whether it's vanilla chocolate or something where you get a feeling in the body. And because that feeling in the body is icky, that is what you're diverting from. You don't need to divert from people not liking vanilla.
Yeah, that was my B and C, but you said it better than I
goodness.
did. So
no,
but it's okay. You said it much better than I was going to. The only thing I would add to that is that you can use that moment to then look into what is it about when I see somebody doing, being abusive, or like you said, like everybody should have dignity,
be treated with dignity,
treated with dignity. What does it bring up in you that it reminds you of, that points back to you either feeling like a victim where you have been treated without dignity, where you feel like you are empathizing with how you think the other person is? It's really a pointer back to you to get into, why is it that you do feel the way that you do? It's not that there is necessarily some greater moral truth that is just absolutely undeniable across cultures, because clearly
there isn't.
Every culture has certain norms and certain things that we would think are absolutely unthinkably terrible, and to them it's just Tuesday. So feel into you. Why are you reactive, or are you feeling some sort of passionate response about one particular topic? And you'll most likely find, as you said, some second fetter issue in there that still needs to be inquired into and held with love and compassion and dignity and all of that. Because it could also be that you aren't holding parts of you with dignity, that you're not treating yourself the way that you believe everybody else should be treated. Yeah. There can be lots of different ways that
you are allowing other people to treat you without dignity in the way that you think all people should be treated with dignity, but you are, standing by watching that you're not being treated with dignity for a million of different reasons, but it makes sense just to, swallow it. Just,
Yeah. So there
look into that as well.
Lots of reasons for each one of those. You can go back and find, in what way is this actually relevant to you, not to the people in a country 10,000 miles away. How is this relevant to you right now that makes this such a hot button issue for you?
Whenever we have a hot button issue, it's always a second fetter issue. There's always something underneath that needs love and compassion, that really needs to be looked at. So we have compassion with, and can be in a position that when you see, now I used the example before with a child being abused, knowing that the abuser is abused themselves, they are a child that has been abused as well. It's not as cut and dry as we want it to be. We want it to be cut and dry because we have pain in that area ourselves. We are not in a position where we can look at our parents, as abused children themselves, because there's too much pain in here to look at that. So if that is the issue with you regarding dignity, really second fetter it, and work with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I saw Yvonne wrote, so what about instincts and what about synchronicity? Would you like me to start on that?
Yeah. Right. I really don't like being the one pulling those.
I know. Well, okay. So I think to start with, we'll take the 10th fetter view on it.
Yeah.
So instincts are, well, both of these relate to the ninth fetter. The feeling of going with the flow or experiencing synchronicity is super common when you're kind of out of the way, when the mind is not involved in, I can do this, I can control this, I need things to be a certain way, I'm going to plan for it, and damn it, I'm going to make it happen, and I'm going to resist it. And when all of that is out of the way, there is this kind of instinctual flowing that happens. And we do tend to rely more on the body yes, body no, what feels right, what something arise. We hear about a concert, we hear about an opportunity that comes up, and you just feel this, oh yeah, okay, and then you just sign up for it and you just do it, or no, and then you're just not going to do it. There's no juggling back and forth of the mind, like maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, but man, I don't know if I can afford it. But it's just like, instantly, and we don't know why we know. We don't know that it's some higher power directing us, that the universe is manipulating everything so that, everything just lines up perfectly for you to be in this one particular place at this one particular time. We have no idea. We tend to be pattern recognizing creatures. We tend to find when things go well, we can find all of the maybe hard to explain concurrences that happened that lead us to say, oh, well, this happened because that happened and that happened and that happened, and how rare they all were. And
I knew I shouldn't have taken a left.
Yeah,
I knew I shouldn't have taken a left. And now there's a traffic jam.
Yeah. So depending, we can make some meaning or sense out of any of these things. But like we talked about before, you don't need to have a belief in any of it for it to happen, right? Living life without putting a lot of mental constraints on it does tend in general to seem to work out pretty well. We don't know why it happens though, but we don't need to use the labels of intuition, synchronicity, the universe making things happen. Those are just beliefs or concepts that are easy ways of categorizing things and talking about them, talking about common experiences without actually meaning anything real. It doesn't mean that it's real just because we can talk about it like that. What's important is to recognize, do things seem to go well when I am just out of the way, when I really respond to that immediate body yes, body no, when you have that intuitive sense that this is right, that's not right, and then act upon it. Does that tend to turn out well or not? And if it does, then try it more. And if it doesn't, then try something else.
Yeah.
But that's the thing.
How do you know when things don't turn out well that they don't turn out well?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know until many, many years later whether any of these things is
when
not.
You die, like you always say.
Exactly.
You know when you die.
But from like a sort of practical in this moment standpoint, just to give yourself the feedback that this is something to try out, because if it feels like you need some sort of reassurance, then the only way to get that reassurance is to just try things out for yourself and see how they work.
Yeah.
And, if you find that intuition is leading you to getting into vans with strangers, maybe you need to reevaluate if this is really your intuition that's talking, or if you have something else that's behind it that's like still pulling the strings and you're not really, because
it's also that we have the need to call it something outside of ourselves, as if your freedom is outside of yourself. It's my spirit guide that told me that I should come to this meeting or that I should watch this video. Why do you need for it to be outside of yourself? You clicked on a YouTube video, you signed up on a member channel, you log in on Discord. Why does it need to be something outside of yourself? And it's usually because there's a need for some kind of safety that we don't feel in ourselves, that if we are in the middle way and there's not that and there's not that, this, not that, and we are just in the middle of it, we feel that free flowing. That can be super, super scary.
And especially if you have those second fetter issues of lack of conviction in your own trustworthiness. that if I hear a voice in my head saying, yes, take this job, if I can attribute it to God or a spirit guide or something like that who I can trust, then I'm much more likely to be okay with that than if it's just my own mind saying, yeah, take that job.
Untrustworthy.
And I've never been able to trust myself before. So why would I trust that voice now?
Yeah. Yeah, you go on a diet every single Monday. Why should you? And you break it every single Tuesday.
Yeah.
Why should you trust yourself that you should take this job? It's much better if it's the spirit guides that are telling you to take this job.
Yeah,
that I trust.
Yeah. So just be aware of why you are doing the things that you do and why you are believing the things that you believe, because they serve a purpose. And that's why Pernilla is so reluctant to talk about the eighth fetter stuff, because it is serving a purpose. It feels good. It's not something that we just want to rip out from under you. But if you're interested in it and it seems to be calling out for you for exploration, then just look into what purpose is it actually solving? What are you deriving from it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the ego likes to think it's special. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you can live a life with synchronicity and intuition and flow without any labels on it, but just a movement that is happening, and there's not see, I knew it, because you didn't. The frontal lobe is taking the credit afterwards. You didn't know it.
And again, in direct experience, does synchronicity exist? Does intuition exist? There is a moment of sensation, and there's a moment of choosing, not you who is choosing, but this moment where you're seeing a job offer come up, a sensation in the body, and then you're either saying yes or no. And there is this happening that's there without having to put any sort of greater meaning on it or greater context, because all of that is belief. It's all thought. None of that is in your actual direct experience outside of that conceptualization.
Yeah. Love it.
It's kind of like the litmus test. Like, can I, we're not good with using the word real anyway, because even if it's in direct experience, it doesn't really mean it's real.
Not real.
It's like the closest thing we can get to not being completely polluted by egocentric thoughts. But the problem is that even the direct experience is still a type of thought. So there is no actual way to experience anything that isn't somehow thought-based. But when we're talking about these sorts of things, it's that kind of self-reflective thought, that doership thought, the one that takes credit for it or that wants to believe something into existence. The raw sensory thoughts, which is direct experience, they don't have concepts built into them. So yes, it's not really real, but they don't have that additional layer of self-referential
validity or
nonsense. It's just that self-referential thought that's an overlay on everything else that we experience. This is direct experiences as raw as we can get, still remaining that remembering that none of that is actually real.
Love it. Yeah, I think that was it.
Harlan,
thank you so much, you guys. This was really super cozy, super comfortable. I hope it works for you.
Yeah, please.
We would love feedback.
Send us feedback of this. If this is better for you, then we're still going to keep the Tuesday meeting as is. But if this is better for you,
it's a great opportunity for us to connect with everybody that do not want to be on a video, that do not want to be recorded, that do not want to ask a question where other people are sitting and looking or whatever. You can write us the question on Discord, and then we will take it up. You can come here, ask us the question here, and then we'll take it up. And remember, I just want to say that inquiry group is on Tuesday.
Also, I wanted to say, if you want to ask a question completely anonymously, you can still write it into Discord and just say in the question, please don't mention my name. And obviously the people on Discord will know that it's not completely anonymous. But as far as like the people on YouTube, we'll just read it without saying who you are.
Yeah. So all feedback would be great.
Yes. Okay,
Love this
Patty
format.
loved this format.
Amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too. It's really nice.
The idea is that we could get through more questions this way and really cover more. And I think
also
we did.
and also we enjoy doing sofa sets.
We do.
We do enjoy making sofa sets, and this is a way where you guys can participate in a sofa set.
It's a live sofa set.
Yeah, so nice.
It is.
Okay, I
Thank
think
you,
that's
everybody.
it. Thank you so much. Thank you so
you.
much, and see you on Tuesday.
Yes. Lots of love to you all.
Lots of love. Bye.